Okay.
We're golden.
Okay. Time is 6:02, March 7th, 2016. I'd like to bring this council meeting to order. Opening prayer.
Oh, excuse me.
Holy Spirit, we come to you tonight to make decisions for our people. We ask that you help us make the right decisions and ones made from our heart. I also pray that you give our neighboring communities strength when it comes to depression. I keep reading a lot about suicides and stuff, and I pray that you give them community strength to go.
Approval of agenda.
There's one amendment, as said before, the farm will be presenting the resolution tonight. And who, Mr. Richard wanted to move fisheries to front of our spots so that they have no ways to travel.
So Fisheries will be number one,
Yes.
and then Julie. And approval of agenda. Jennifer.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the agenda.
Motion on the floor, second by Richard. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Agenda approved. So, Fisheries. Who's talking?
So I guess we just kind of want to approve the elder policy proposal. So that gives us a motion. We've all had an email to us for, we're able to review it. And we're able to review it. Are there any questions?
No questions, but we're supposed to be, I'm supposed to be meeting with the other chiefs on Wednesday to discuss.
Well, there's nothing in the proposal that would be affected if we got more,
Okay.
or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still all the same. So I make a motion to approve the AEM elder policy proposal, section 5.
Motion on the floor, second by Sheila. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Quick question, Jerry. Who's gonna actually revise the policy to include this? I'll have no to that.
The what?
All she would have to do is just pretty much copy and paste. And I think she would be the one to go through, and whoever wants their alcohol license, probably put it out in a newsletter for the next mailing to come fill out applications and whatnot. And we just go through the list here. I know Eric Shop is penalized.
Actually, he took care of that.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
I got cleared up as of today.
yep.
Yeah, nobody.
As far as I know, Robert Waters was supposed to meet me on the drive with that.
Yeah. Updated list.
Yep.
Richard?
On the fisheries policy, all there is ABM on there. It should be specified versus that. I don't think it is anymore.
Well, I think on the big policy,
Yeah.
it's part of an overall book.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the, the big one, it says.
All right.
Anything else? Katie?
Yes, I was just wondering if it was possible to get any licenses issued to my school and back up for again just for that.
Did you guys straighten that out?
No, I don't know, I think it would probably be smart to wait until it's actually announced to the community.
Okay.
That shouldn't take long, there's probably like a mail going out next week, huh?
I
Actually,
don't know
yeah.
for sure.
I,
We can.
No?
I did put a little blurb in the newsletter, last newsletter, because we were, coming upon the Elver season, to let anybody know if they're interested in a license, to get a hold of me. So I have been taking a list of people that have been calling to say that they're interested in getting one. But I had never actually put an application out like last year when I sent the applications out in the mail. I haven't done that. My issue with sending it out at this point in time, it can be done, but some people probably won't get the mailing before the season starts. And I still have to send the information to the DMR so then they can do the swipe cards for them. So my position is I would rather do it sooner than later, but I know that we're kind of behind the 8 ball at this point, so whatever council decides.
Yeah, just on a footnote with, I know for the last few years since we started, we always did put something in the newsletter out for our community. There's been very little interest, for up on our end here. But like Melanie said, she put a little blurb in there, and I did read it. It was like a sentence or so, just in small print. Something like that, really to get our people's interest is a little bolder, a little bigger, so we'll actually speak out and not in the middle of something out of sentences, you know what I mean? That way it kind of stands out on its own, so it gets people's attention, that's all.
Richard?
That letter you sent out today, Charlie, letter you got from Augusta, did that specify that they needed to be in there by tomorrow?
Geez, you know what, actually, I think you're right.
It
was a
deadline.
There was a deadline.
That's just for the
If you
22nd.
don't get them in there by tomorrow, they can't guarantee that they'll have the licenses before the starting of the season. So I would suggest you get as much information from the people that are gonna do this and try to get that in there by tomorrow afternoon, if that's possible.
Yeah, by the end of the
Is
day,
that-
March 8th.
Excuse me?
It's by the end of the day, March 8th.
Sheila?
Yeah, adding to what Richard was saying too, the swipe cards will be available next week. And if the information doesn't get to them and the swipe card won't be available, then they'll have to go to Augusta.
Yeah, and they can't guarantee that swipe cards will be ready by the 23rd or 22nd.
If they have to wait.
Couldn't they submit their acts tonight? No, approve them tomorrow and send them off, so that all she has to do is mail them the permits.
I think that's what she was asking for a license
Yeah.
tonight.
Still planning on issuing a license when more people that want.
No?
I did already provide them with an application, because Katie asked me for one. So they're currently filling out theirs right now. We have another fisherman that's been coming to just about every meeting, Jason. He isn't able to make it right now because he's in class tonight. He was hoping that the fisheries would be later on so he could be here for it. And he is very interested in a license as well, so.
We'd have to give some time for the,
Jared, you gotta raise your hand.
Oh, sorry. We'll have to give some time for those with experience to, like, we have to set a deadline. That way the ones with experience will get permits. Cause say if, Austin, for instance, wanted one, but he couldn't, you know, do it for till Thursday or something. Jason only has, you know, a year and a quarter where Austin has 2. So, you know, we have to figure out, like, we have to set a day where, like, as far as Katie and Jeremy and Kevin, yeah, we couldn't issue theirs because they're top, on the top there. Then we'd have to issue a date where, let's say by Friday,
this came to the table before, and again, we're waiting until the last minute to make a decision. Within that policy that the proposal we just passed, it was well written. We need to allow these people to do their application and get their license tonight. I mean, that's my opinion. That are here.
Jennifer?
I'm just gonna say, within your policies, you did state by March 5th that there would be a lottery for the unissued licenses. So, that's all.
Melanie?
I guess my suggestion, again, it's just my suggestion, is that we have 8 licenses at this point in time. They've come up quite a few times, and they're asking for a license for Shirley as well, who couldn't make it tonight. So my suggestion is to issue the 4 of the 8 tonight to them, including Shirley, and then leave the other 4 open to have a mailing go out, and possibly like a lottery type of thing go on with the other 4. Because it is late, and we don't know who else out there might be interested in doing it. Again, it's just a suggestion.
We're not doing the lottery.
But yeah, let's issue the 4, and then the other 4 we'll give until Friday. See who, comes and applies, and then we'll go by the list of experienced people and give out the other 4.
I don't know if you can issue the 3, but I don't think you can issue the 4th. Does she have to sign it?
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't have to sign it?
She can sign it when she gets it. I don't know, I can't remember if those are the ones you have to sign on the front. The application, that's right, because I did give her an application for her. She's going to have her sign it, fill it out, sign it, and email it to me. So maybe at that point in time I could issue it, or, yeah, and mail it to her. Because I have issued license before to people like on the coast, and just had them sign it when they receive it. But I take my copy to send it off to the DMR, so then they're aware of who's being issued a license.
Sterling?
I'm pretty sure you have to identify the quota amount as well, poundage?
Yes.
With this? Just as a footnote?
Norm?
Yeah, by looking at our list, we have 2 individuals that have 4 years, 3 individuals that have 3 years, and 4 people that have 2 years. So if you add the 4 years and the 3 years, those are 5 individuals that should be guaranteed a license, my thought. And then out of the other 2-year individuals, there's 4 individuals. So out of those 4, with the 2 years, 1 is not gonna be able to get a license. So we gotta determine how we chose the 3 that get them and the 1 that doesn't, I guess, if we're going by experience.
Melanie?
I will just throw it out there. Jason Duplessis has called me numerous times asking, he's interested in a license. Nick Parole, Sandra Nightingale, and there's a few new ones on my list too, but I know for sure those ones have been calling pretty frequently asking for a license, or what the process will be.
Katie?
I just wanted to throw it out here that in the policy that was, you guys approved, it had stated that, to choose, like, if you run into that situation, to choose people that had worked for the tribe, because we did work for $8.50 an hour, so, like, put those before the people that didn't. And the other thing I'd like to throw out is that there's a couple people on that list that last year that got licenses that didn't fill the quota. And I feel like they should probably be considered after other people that have the potential to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we would have to have that.
Right.
Norma?
Just because the policies you just given us, have just been approved. So you're looking at, section C1, The ABM shall determine eligible candidates for the license by the number of years' experience. And then 2, if there shall be any unissued license, the ABM shall hold a lottery, which was mentioned earlier, by March 5th, which is already passed, of that calendar year for the year experienced fishermen. So I guess that's where we're at, is determining who has the most experience, I guess. And just by looking at these numbers, we have 9 individuals that be looking for a license. And again, it's out of those 4 that only have the 2 years experience. One of those individuals will be left out. That's where my question's at.
Jerry?
I'm not gonna be able to. I'll go
Listen,
down
yeah,
there.
I think he's sustained too. I know we got a.
I'll probably go down and with the sustenance.
The name underneath yours?
Eric Sadler? Yeah, he
wasn't recording.
didn't even fish, we gave him a permit, and he just didn't.
Oh, you didn't even
He
catch it?
didn't even
Last
fish.
season.
We ended up giving that permit to, I wanna say it was us. But he went down one of the years and he didn't even fish, so. Like, I think that was in 2014, cause I know in 2013 he was part of my group for Lou, and Scott Capred, and what's his name? Yeah, he wouldn't be considered a 2-year, he'd be 1.
Okay. Sheila?
I say go ahead and, what year is suggested it for, and then do it on Friday, with the other 4. And then next year, hopefully, we won't run into this problem. Yeah.
Okay, do you wanna go show, do you guys have this list?
Yeah.
You do? So it's the, which ones, the top, how many? Count from the top.
Yeah, there's many people there that we know that, you know, they'll probably most certainly get their permits. As far as the ones with least experience, they probably won't this year. Cause you have Eric Shoppy, you know he's gonna want it.
Mhm.
So you'd say the first, how many, 1, 2,
5.
3, 4, 5?
Minus myself, Eric Sadler. Yeah, then count down, all the way down to Jason Goodblood, cause he wants his. So anybody below Goodblood is most likely not gonna get the permits this year, unless they go down with a sustenance.
What is it? Richard?
You're going down to Augusta here pretty soon? For fisheries?
No, not the fisheries. Wednesday, we're going to the Chiefs to see what we can, to see what we can do with the quota. So we.
The point that I was getting at is that the ones that's not issued tomorrow, they can't guarantee that they'll be issued prior to the 22nd. And I was wondering if you could take that information down with you for those 4.
We're not meeting with the Denmark, we're just meeting with the other judge. And that's the only way he can do anything. Tell her to get us more pens, we have to meet with the other drivers and discuss it.
Yeah, cause even if we get more Jerry, even if we get more poundage, we wouldn't be able to issue any more permits, it would have to go to us.
Yeah, he has the authority to issue, to change that, is that
He
what he said?
can do the licenses by
Yeah.
resolution of council. If they wanna increase the licenses, he can do.
But we need more pounds. And we get
And that's
that
what
from
you're
the other
gonna work
truckers.
on.
Yes.
But for now,
This is what we have, yeah. More?
Yeah, I know Sterling did make a good point earlier, because we're only entitled to so many poundage. When we submit our 8 licenses in, we have to give the quota amount, but maybe in parentheses, with the exception if we're allotted more poundage. Because that would be up to the chiefs if they're willing to give us some more, so. We'd like to leave that little bit of clause in there just in case we do have the other tribes decide to give us a few extra pounds, and then we can add that on to their quota. Instead of just sticking with saying, this is all we're gonna do, then they might hold that against us, that's all.
We need a motion, yeah. No, no.
I just, Normie, can you just repeat what you just said about the pound, there was phone ringing, I couldn't hear what you said, the clause.
Oh, it's just having it in there for the fact that, just in case, our chief does get some headway with the other Wabanaki chiefs to allow us a little more poundage.
Right.
And, then we add that on to, their quota number.
Okay.
Because if we say they're only allowed that, what, 0.4% or something, that's overall, that's what we got, but.
So for each fisherman, like if we are able to come up with more poundage, then each fisherman would be able to fish more pounds or something like that, okay.
And as well as if we do have to get more, licenses, then
Okay.
we'll divide it up equally at that time.
Depending on how many people want it.
Right.
Okay. So somebody keep track of those changes and we can make a motion now? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to release 4 or 3 of our element permits tonight to the 3 that submit their application tonight. And then also like to put in that motion to release 1 other permit as soon as we have her information emailed to us. And the other 4 permits will be released Friday. March 11th to those who qualify with experience, highest experience.
Okay. Motion on the floor, second by Sheila. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Is this thing or-
March 11th.
Greg was here to fill it out.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Maybe during our break, you guys could go over and do that.
All you meant by us was trying to clarify.
Yes.
Just make it clear. I'm
Sleeping on it. Sleeping in the truck.
You guys have your social
Sleeping in the
security
truck
cards,
sitting
all
down.
that stuff, your social security numbers.
And then checking my necks and
Okay.
jumping back in the truck
That's
and
fine.
driving all the way to Preston.
So the whole variation.
Okay. And next up, we have
For those who wasn't here Wednesday night, I stuck this in your box, but you would have had it last year too, because it's pretty much identical. They just require a resolution every year, not sure why, because it's overlapping funding. So this is for our PIPSA funding, through the Department of Health and Human Services. It's, a little over 16,000 annually.
that's your smaller grant, right?
Yes, that is our smaller grant. We have to get it approved every year, but it's actually a 2-year cycle, but we get $16,000 plus a year. confusing, they can't even explain it to us how it actually works, so there's that. This is the same proposal, just a little bit of tweaks, some misspellings that I noticed, and, otherwise it's the same proposal that we would have submitted last year. Any questions?
The only question I'm gonna bring up, and it's probably something you already looked at, is, I know some of these grants that are awarded to the tribe sometimes throughout the year, there's a cut, which will affect the budget, payroll, and such. You got that in mind, calculated just in case?
There's no salary taken out of this. This is all, thankfully, direct service and prevention services. Our salaries are 100% funded through the Office of Violence Against Women. So we obviously didn't get a cut there, we get an increase. We're advertising our third position as we speak, that should close the 11th. We only advertise within our community because it doesn't require a degree. It just requires a specific skill set, so.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
ask the
no,
question.
there's no, salaries taken out of this at all.
It shouldn't hurt.
No, if any, it'll hurt direct service if it gets cut, and they have done that. This used to be a $6,000 grant.
Right.
And they cut it in half without warning or anything. And there was salary that was coming out of it at that time, that's when we had social services. But now we just use this, specifically for direct service and prevention activities. So it would be fine if we took a cut. Hopefully we're gonna get an increase though, because, Jen went with me to Washington State for the OVW, testimony. But FIPSA was also there as well, and they heard testimony from tribal, representatives as well for FIPSA, so hopefully it'll be an increase, because we get the bottom of the pot, and there's tribes that have, much bigger, community, but they get millions and millions of dollars, so if we get 16 of that, so hopefully it will be a little bit bigger.
And that was a common concern that was brought up, not just by us, but by many leaders, so, we're anticipating that they'll be fine.
That's not all we want here, just saying that.
You wanna go back there, right?
I'll
You guys
say
had
it.
fun last time.
Oh, yes, it was a blast.
Great.
That tour of the seaside was wonderful.
4 hours
In the shovel.
in the back.
I like that story. You guys are so adventurous.
Yeah. Little did we know.
Okay, so she needs a motion. Any other questions? I'd like to make a motion, oh wait, I have to read. You guys want the last paragraph right first? Yeah. Is it maybe? Okay. Okay, I'll read it off and then we'll do it. Whereas the Aroostook Band of Micmac Tribal Council understands and is committed to following the regulation, policies, and procedures required to successfully implement this grant. Now therefore be it resolved that the Micmac Tribal Council hereby formally approves the Aroostook Band of Micmac's grant application to FIPSA with a submission deadline of March 15, 2016 that will continue service through the Micmac Domestic and Sexual Violence Advocacy Center, and be it further resolved that the duly elected tribal chief of Aroostook Band of Micmacs is authorized to negotiate and execute any documents necessary to receive financial assistance for FIPSA, provided that the Micmac Tribal Council shall have the opportunity to review all contracts prior to their execution, and be it further Further resolved that this resolution is in effect and in force until such time that the Micmac Tribal Council chooses to withdraw or supplant this resolution.
Motion on the floor. Second by Jarrett. All in favor?
So this time I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution 03-07-16-1.
Motion on the floor. Second by Jarrett. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Thank you.
This is Julie, I have the original for you to sign there, and Shirley, you can sign this cover. And then I have some other documents for you to sign together.
Julie, will you get me a copy of that?
Yes.
No.
You only want one copy.
But I'll make a copy of it.
Comes my resolution, blah, blah, blah. My mom was a lawyer.
Oh, I know. Me too. It's like, we're not sure what's going on. Yep.
You all got in your packet last time, and I don't know if you have it, still, put a little grant for the, Native Youth Culture Fund. This is an electronic application, but we copy and pasted it onto a regular Word document. That's why some parts may look a little bit choppy. This is really a grant to strengthen the relationship between the youth and the elders, but also incorporate activities with some of the other tribes and substance abuse and the prevention of it through getting together and doing a substance free river tour, I guess you would call it, on the Allagash Riverway. About the timeliness of it, I do apologize. This was brought to my attention on Friday, and it was due March 9th, and Tani asked me if I was gonna apply for it. I said yes, probably. And then she said she had a template going already with goals and objectives in it. So she let me see what she had. I just really added to her theme and strengthened it and did the budget narrative portion of it. So we both had pretty much an equal hand in it. Are there any questions on that one? It's due on March 9th. Yeah. We do have, the good thing about this grant is that we're able to give honorariums to the people that, and the elders that we work with, for their skills in teaching the youth. So it's good to be able to give them a little bit extra. Are there any questions about that one? It's pretty straightforward. It's for 20,000.
I do.
Do you want me to do it?
No, the whole thing, just says the last.
The last word? Whereas the recipient of Mac's Tribal Council has determined that it's in the best interest of the communities for the Micmac Youth Department and the Boys and Girls Club of Presque Isle to participate in the Native Youth Culture funded programs. Now therefore be it resolved and hereby authorizes the Micmac Youth Department and Boys and Girls Club of Presque Isle to participate in and accept the NYCF funds on behalf of the communities to support these programs. And be it further, and that's just for the chief would sign. Yep. Do you need me to read more than that?
Sheila?
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 03-07-16-02.
Motion on the floor, second by Jared. All in favor? All opposed, abstentions, motion carried, resolution approved.
Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Farm table.
Great.
Farm table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. This was tabled.
How you doing, Greg? Good. You wanna talk about the building?
No.
No, you guys wanna know? Oh, you have to go
Oh,
see it.
well, no, you talked about it, but that's not what I was here.
No, I know.
Oh.
We told him and I went today.
Yeah. Building's going along, really quickly. Substantial completion is like, I'm starting to come in the Friday after next. So it's really coming together fast. It's nice. If you have a chance, just stop by, check it out. Feel free just to go in. All right, so I have the APR tonight. I printed out a few copies if anybody doesn't have one. Okay.
I think I'll take one too.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
It is identical to what you sent in the email.
It is. All set? Okay. So I sent, three documents to you. The first one was just a cover letter. And then the second one was a tribal action request, which is just basically something to memorialize the motion, to accept it. It's not anything that I have to send to HUD, but I'd like to have it just for my records. And I'm going to, I have to change the date because I had it for scheduled, for last week. Today's the 7th? Just put that with you. Okay, I did print out, I think, Jen, you're the only one that has a printed out cover letter. But basically, we had 9 different programs, and we were underspent, or we were under budget for all but one of them. The only one that went over was the Tribal Emergency Hit Program. And what happened there was somebody needed a well. They were in line for IHS funding, but they were too late for it, and they needed water. So I just made the call to put in their well. That put me over budget in that one program, but we were well under in every other budget, so that covered the shortfall. We actually decreased by 153,000. So we were under budget by 153,000. So that's actually a good thing. And I do try to design my budget so that they're high, so that I can come in underneath. And we were able to do that again this year. So what I'm going to do is, ma'am?
Just a quick question. Would that endanger the funding to go down?
Oh, no, the grant, we always spend the grant. So what we did is, with our budget, we had the grant, we had our rental income, and then we had a tribal contribution, which was from the MHOP sales.
Okay.
So the grant was completely spent down,
Okay.
the rental income was spent down, and we had to spend a little bit, but only a little bit of the reserve.
Okay.
Okay? All right, do you mind if I sit? Okay. So I'm gonna go through this, the AHP. So there might be some of you that haven't seen one of these before, but basically there's two reports that we have to file with HUD each year. The first report that you file at the beginning of the year, you're all familiar with that, and that's the Indian Housing Plan. That sets out our goals, our programs, and the amount of money that's attached to them. What we have to do at the end of the year is file an annual housing report or performance report. Basically, they take the same document. Wherever you see white, that was the IHP for 2015. And then where it's gray is where you have to fill in that same report at the year end for the AHP. So we told them what our budget was going to be and what our goals were at the beginning of the year. And now what we have to do is we're required to submit and say, this is what we actually spent, these were the goals that we actually obtained. Okay? All right, so the grant, I'm just gonna go through them because it's only the parts in gray. It's a standard format. There's not like a lot of subjective input into this document. So, as you can see on page 4, our actual grant was $636,869. Okay, so that wasn't what we had, what they had originally told us that we were going to get. We were going to get a little bit more, but we ended up getting a little bit less. So moving forward to 5 is just standard stuff that was basically done on the IHP. Same thing with number 6, page 6, page 7, page 8, 9, 10, and 11. All of those were developed in the IHP. None of them required any changes. So on page 12 is where we actually start getting into the programs. And so you'll see that there's gray areas, and those are what are required to be filled out in this form. Okay, so page 12 there's really no change. And page 13, it tells you we met all our goals and we ended this year within budget. So this one was the maintenance of the 1937 Act low rent units, which is basically Bon Air Village. So we came in under budget, what we planned, and we had obtained all the goals, which is to do the work orders. Very good.
It's not all in.
Oh, okay.
You lost me, you started hitting page 6.
Okay. Okay. So we're on page 13. So this is the first program. So this is the Bon Air Village. So right at the top, basically what I put in, we met all the goals and we ended the year within budget. So you didn't go over budget in housing. So page 14, let's see. That one. This is the modernization of, basically it's the mutual health houses. Okay, so you go to page 15, it tells you that we did 21 work orders. We met all of our goals within budget. So with the mutual health houses, because usually the maintenance is something that they are pretty much responsible for, that one is a little bit less money and a little bit less work. And so it shows that I outlined all of the work orders that we did during the 4 quarters of last year. There's basically 21 work orders. First one was getting a vacant unit back online. We had to, there's no one there, so we have to own that work. Heating pipes. Again, I think that was the second house that went online. An oil tank. So it's fairly straightforward. Okay? 16 is we're dealing with the maintenance of the low rent units. So these are your Littleton, your Connor, and Doyle Road. So there's like about 20 units that are involved. We did 140 work orders for those units. And then on page, let's see. And all the goals were met, again, within budget. Okay? Actually, when you say within budget, that means under budget. 18 is the development or bond air planning. So this is the one where we set aside money to chase other grants, supplemental income. So you can see on page 19, I did a little bit more on that. Again, worked on completing the assessment and planning of one major renovation and replacement of up to 40 units in Bon Air. We hired a consultant, Travoy. We submitted the low-income housing tax credit application, which included a relocation plan, environmental review, architectural and engineering plans, as well as put the financing plan to meet the funding gap. We also submitted an AHP grant on this project, and we didn't land those projects. The replacement one, we did not land. On the rehab project, we landed the ICUG grant for $605,000 and an AHP grant for $350,000. So both for those two grants we did land. There is one other grant that I probably should have mentioned this. We did, and I hadn't gotten the report back from HUD yet, and that was part of the replacement was as we put in an ICBG grant for $600,000, which we did land, but I didn't realize it. We did learn about that just recently. So what I will do is I'll amend this to include the ICBG grant.
And that was another, how much, Greg?
600,000.
600,000.
So we landed 3 grants, 2 ICBG grants for $1,205,000 and a $350,000 AHP. So even though we spent money in this one, we got a pretty good return. Okay. Also, what we're going to try to do is we're going to reevaluate the rehab, and we're going to try to expand that so that even though we weren't able to do the 40-unit replacement, we're going to try to see if we can do as many of those 60 units in total. We're going to try to get some work done, at least a new roof, for this coming year. Okay. So number on page 20 is the emergency winter assistance program. So this is emergency HIP. Okay, so on page 21, we had 18 work orders. First quarter was minor, second was fairly minor. They were all minor until we had to do a well system in the last quarter, and that's what put us over. So this is the only program where we went over, but we were under by 153 elsewhere, so that being over $7,000 was completely minor. And that well came in the last, and it was about 7,500. And if I hadn't done it, we would have been under budget by like 20 bucks. So we had a plan. It's just that one was unplanned in an emergency, and the other funding, if we had waited, we could have got the other funding. But in my opinion, they couldn't wait. Okay. So page 22, this was the support for the children in cultural activities. And again, it follows the same format on page 23 is what we actually did. We met all of our goals, and again, in the budget. We helped quite a different number of other departments with their activities. So we did graduation t-shirts for Little Feathers, worked with, the softball team through the cultural department, Malinomi through the cultural and events committee, the 105 club through the boys and girls, Katahdin 100 through ICWA and IHS, domestic violence, walk through the, domestic violence program, the Halloween party, veterans recognition, and the Christmas party for the children. So those were all of the different activities that we helped fund through that program. Page 24 is housing maintenance services, and that's basically all of the administrative cost of running the program in-house. On page 25, it just tells you we did the environmental, or I did the environmental for the funding. We did the performance report for last year, the Indian Housing Plan for this year, and the environmental review for this year's funding as well. For the tribal reports, I did 4 quarterly report. I already sent the 4th quarterly report to you previously. I do 4 quarterly maintenance reports and staff reports. Do that internally, and then I meet with my staff to make sure that we're on track. I had to do 2 environmental assessments for the ICDG grants, which we landed. Attended all the directors' meetings. Did the planning meetings for the housing development, for the meeting with Savoy, Umpy, to get the ownership of the 2 Northern Avenue units. Worked with the tribe in the nation building initiatives. And then I met managing the wellness building. County-wise, kind of proud of this, we reduced the number of households in arrears by 25 units or 56%. Yes, ma'am?
So did we get the units?
It's still in process, but we're getting there. It's just long. It's UMPI has to go through the federal department in order for them to allow the houses to be transferred to us, and it's a long, arduous process. Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty bad. So accounting-wise, we reduced the number of houses in arrears by 25 units or 56%. So that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So before it was like you had more than half of your houses owed rent, and now you're down to a quarter. So that's pretty good. And then we reduced the amount of arrearages by 52%, which is also pretty good. And then we increased our rental income over the previous year by 22%. And that's on top of last year's. So last year's we had reduced it by half as well. It went up by 50% last year. So what you're going to find is that the increase is going to slow, because I think that right now, like next year, I think in 2016, I don't think we're going to see an increase, because we captured all those arrears, and most of the people are caught up. So you're actually going to probably see it dip a little bit. Whether that's going to hurt us significantly or not, where we might have to increase our rent, I'm not sure yet. I wanted to give it 1 more year so that I could see 1 year of like steady where it's at before I come back to ask you for any changes. So again, we met all of our goals, and we were within budget, and that's basically it. Page 27 is the budgets. And so again, so you can see that chart has IHP, which is your housing plan, and then you have the APR, which is what we're doing, and the APR is all in red. So under the IHP, on column C, you can see that they had originally told us that we were going to get $665,000, but what we actually received was $637,000. So we changed our mix a little bit of what we had to do. But you can also see, we estimated that our rental income under C2 was 75. We came over by about 3,000. So it's pretty close to getting what I thought we were going to get. And then down in the on line 4, C4, that's what I estimated that we were going to get from like the Littleton properties. but actually, we, under G4, you can see that that went up. See, so they're starting to pull some, their weight there as well. Okay? Under, let's see, it continues over to the next page. And so in the next page, you can see on line 10, we had originally thought we were gonna have to put in $200,000 from those MHOP sales, but we actually only had to take 64. So we were well under budget. We had planned to spend 954, but we only spent 800. Okay, and a large part of it was because of that planning. And that planning grant, we had put in a chunk of money, almost a little bit over $100,000. And that was if we had landed the replacement, we were gonna have to contribute to that. But because we didn't land that, we didn't have to spend that money. Okay? So then, on the lower part of 28, this is your actual budget. So your IHP showed your budget. That's in column N. And then in column Q is what you actually spent. So you can see we were under in the first one, under in the second one. Page 29, we were under the third. Way under number 2015 2-A. That was the planning one. We went over in the winter emergency, that's the emergency hip. We were just under on the children and cultural. Close on the management, still under. The planning and admin, that's your IDC fund. The reason why that's lower, we took less than IDC that we had originally planned, was because our grant was less, and there's a 20% cap on that. The loan repayment, that's your construction loan that you had, that the tribe had taken out on building Littleton and I think Doyle Road. So we had budgeted 94, we ended up borrowing or having to pay back 90, just under 92. So that's pretty steady every year. Okay, and that's that. 30 there's nothing to contribute there. 31, there's nothing to contribute there. 32, no. Under 33, they just asked if you exceeded your planning and admin cost, and you did not. We had answered yes on line 6, we had to fill that out, but we don't. We didn't. Page 35, these are certificates of compliance. And these were done under the IHP phase. 36 is not applicable because we're not a TDHE, we are an actual tribe. Certification was also answered under the IHP phase. 38 is, do you have a procedure policy for self-monitoring? Yes. Where the recipient is a TDHE, we're not, so it's not applicable. Did you conduct it? Yes. And then it says results, and that's again just reiterating what we had reported in the previous sections. And that's why we do those. I do those at least on a quarterly basis to make sure that we're on track and under budget, and that we're meeting our goals. So at the end of the year, when I put this together, I actually had this done within a week, but I had to wait till the audit was completed before I could bring it to you. So those 39 is just inspections. There's forward. 40 is if you exceed more than $500,000, you have to do. You have to let them know and whether an audit is required. And obviously, an audit is required, so that's just standard too. Public availability, yes, and also this meeting satisfies that requirement as well. We're on the agenda. We will keep a copy of this in our office for any tribal member that wants to look at it, review it. They're free to come in. We keep one of the IHP as well, and in the environmentals as well. So any report that we file, we run. I keep it in the office. Anybody that wants to come in can come in and look it over. Let's see, 5 permanent jobs, 2 temps, 43 are waiver requests. We're not asking for any waivers. 44 is amendments. We're not amending anything. And that's all dealing with amendments that from there to the end. And we didn't do any amendments, so it was not required that we fill out that to the end. And that's the AHP for 2015. And so I had a motion. Where I'm asking the Aroostook Band and Micmacs Tribal Council approves the submission of the FY 2015 annual performance report as presented and authorizes the Honorable Tribal Chief Edward Peters Hall to officially submit said report.
Make that motion.
Richard?
Make the motion.
Motion on the floor.
Okay.
Resolution number.
Resolution number 03-07-16-3.
Motion on the floor, second by Norm. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Chief, if I can just get you to sign the cover letter and then that tag. Yeah, it's kinda, I wanted to get it all down in one.
You better shrink your font.
Second by Norm.
Norman.
But I don't think it was a resolution, was it?
It wasn't, I didn't draft it as a resolution, I just
Right.
needed a motion.
To approve it, right?
Yeah, to approve it, so it's in my files, but I don't send that motion to HUD.
Right.
Thanks, boss. All right, yes, sir? Josh? Put it in the pocket. Okay.
I'm
All right.
Chinese.
With that?
Chinese? I'm going to.
Yeah, all right,
Just wondering if
so,
they should change the motion.
any
There's
questions?
no resolution,
Thank
so
you.
they should change the motion. Hold,
You
yeah,
want me to
I
give that to you
will.
tomorrow?
Yeah, but I have a question on
Derek?
that.
Motion to adjourn.
I have,
Motion on the floor?
oh,
I only got a question.
He's got a motion on the floor.
okay, but it's pertaining to Craig's.
Oh, you know, my motion. No.
Sorry. He didn't have a resolution, so I think we should, change the motion to approve his report, because there's no resolution.
Okay.
So rescind.
I rescind my motion for the resolution.
Who seconded?
03-07-16-03.
I rescind that, my, second on that motion.
And I rescind my vote.
Well, I think it's kind of all taken care of.
All right.
So all you need is a motion to accept the APR for fiscal year 2015.
The performance, yeah. Yes.
Will we do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Sheila will do it.
Sheila?
I make a motion to accept the annual performance report from the housing for 2015.
Motion on the floor, second by Jennifer. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Let's make a motion
Motion on the floor,
Motion to adjourn.
second by Richard, all in favor? All opposed? Abstention? I don't know, why are you giving him a hard time? He was waiting for fried chicken.
That's what I heard, fried chicken.
Yeah.
Well, it's Sunday, right?